We have a whole bunch of demonstrations later part of the day, but the first one is going to start around visual AI. And this is a technology that uses cameras that are installed already, security cameras, and it adds intelligence to them. And so while we set up, I think we've got a few seconds before we're ready to go. We have a team here at HyperWorks that is going to be enacting this scenario. And so they'll be running through the live cameras, and we will be calling out certain things as they happen. And so when you look at this demonstration that we're going to go through, don't just look at the detections that you're seeing in this scenario, but that's just a taste of what it can do. Think of the system as a camera that you can assign jobs to. You can tell it to look for fires. You can tell it to look for things that are security related. You can tell it to look for pretty much anything, and the system is able to automatically do that. And so traditionally what you have is an individual that is looking at 1 to 10 cameras at one point in time. That's a very difficult job to do, and it's very difficult to make sure that you have that concentration and that you're constantly looking at that feed and that you catch every single thing. And so in security environments, that is very important. The fact that you miss one could be the critical one that you should have paid attention to. And so now you can have a system that is automatically detecting anything that is of interest to you, and it's in the infrastructure that already exists. It's in the cameras that you see above you. This is a security camera that we have installed for a separate demonstration, but we have, I'd say about 12 of these cameras throughout the facility, and we're going to be running through that scenario. Okay, so we'll start with the dashboard that we have here, and what we're going to show is the notifications as they come through. What this is the way that the system communicates with the user. The cameras are running live. They are capturing the information. They are streaming it through a box, a GPU box. And the output of that is the detections. It is what is important to you. It isn't necessarily a stream that you have to stare at. It isn't a stream that you have to look at and not blink for 8 hours on end. It is something like this. This is a camera that we have in our front gate, and we have one of the actors coming through. What I want you to notice in that is that it was a bounding box that called out it was a vehicle, and it specifically focused in on the license plate. Now what the system is doing with that is it's trying to capture what the behavior looks like from your parking lot in this example. How often are these cars coming in? Can I detect the license plate? Can I cross-reference it against the database? Can I see how long this vehicle comes in? Building the profile, the history of your environment, so that it can then come back with recommendations or notifications. This vehicle may not have been seen previously, and now that's of note. The fact that we have not seen this vehicle before, it's not unusual, but it is something that the system will look at and will keep in its memory. And so as we move to the next camera, what we're seeing here is a view of the front as well as the inside. We've got in here the vehicle that was seen, the silver BMW. We've got a truck behind them, and what we know is that we have license plates on all the vehicles that have come through. We know when they came through. As you can see on the dashboard over there, we see that there was an entry, and we see a piece of evidence, which is a single frame. This frame provides the communication or the evidence that the system needs to provide to the user. This is what I saw. I saw a car. This is the license plate, and here's the evidence. And that's what we have on the dashboard. So let's go ahead and continue this scenario. We have the individuals that came through the front gate. They're all coming into our facility. We're going to go ahead and let a few of them in, and we notice that one of the vehicles has somebody still in the vehicle. Now that's unusual because typically this is a drop-off zone, and so you would typically see that somebody comes in, there's a few seconds, they get out of the car, and the car leaves. Well, in this case, the car is still there. That's suspicious. That's unusual. The fact that we also don't know who that person is because we haven't seen that license plate before, that is, again, another layer of an odd situation evolving in front of us. Now, let's go ahead and get inside of the facility. We've got the two individuals that came out of the first two vehicles. They're making their way across the facility. And so now we're going to go ahead and get to the next scene, which is a separate area which is restricted. And in this case, we're using facial recognition. Notice as the individuals come in, they'll flash an ID next to the person. The face will also change colors. So there's a circle around the face that's indicating whether this individual is known to us. So now, automatically, the system it understands who is coming in, what is their ID, when they came in, how long they've been in the facility. The last one, however, we don't know who that is. And so again, license plate, unknown. They behaved a little bit unusually in the parking lot, and they also exhibited what we call tailgating. So the individual came in, opened the door with their ID badge, and the next guy came in and propped the door open and let himself in. The system here cannot be tricked because it's looking at the faces. It's looking and ensuring that the people coming in have access to the specific location. So now we've got our individual here, Guillaume, and we've also have another, this is the unusual suspect. We don't know who he is, and we don't know what he's doing here, but now there seems to be some confrontation. Notice what's happening here. Notice that this one says normal, this one says down. The system is identified very dramatically that this individual has fallen down. Now, why they fell down, in this case they were pushed down, but it could have been a slip. And so now we've got a person down, so let's go ahead and switch to the next camera and see what happens next. So the same individual with the unknown license plate, we've tracked them throughout the various cameras, throughout the facility. We know who they are, and the system, as I mentioned before, keeps it in its memory that they are suspicious because 1, the license plate is unknown. 2, well, they pushed somebody down. And then now we have something that's an actually confirmed weapon detection. So in this case, what we found is that this person had a concealed weapon in their backpack, and they've taken it out. And so up to this point, what we know is that they shouldn't be here. Now we have evidence that there is a weapon. Notice that with that information, the person behind them, this is our security officer, was able to come in, was able to get the exact information they needed in terms of where they were facing, what part of the facility they were in order to safely apprehend the suspect. All through the use of visual AI. And so the system is tracking from beginning to end. It's alerting you of things that are important to you, and it's able to give you those insights without necessarily having to wait for somebody to detect them on a live feed. It's automatically pulling those out, not saving the information, it's not saving the stream, it's extracting that single piece of evidence, which is what we have on the screen here, and it's presenting it to the user and saying, here's what I found a weapon. What would you like to do about it? And in this case, we were able to apprehend the suspect and prevent anything from happening. Thank you.